Hello and welcome back to my channel. London Book Fair is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trade fair in the book publishing industry, which is where I work, and for the first time I got to go this year. So for context, I've been working in the book publishing industry for about 3.5 years to date. London Book Fair happens annually every spring. What is it? It's essentially a big venue where publishers, agents, everyone that works within the industry come together. A stand is a bit of an understatement because they are these huge booths that each company has. Where I work at the moment is Igloo Books UK, which is a publisher, and I work in the children's division publishing children's books. I work in marketing and publicity, and I've got a whole load of other videos if you want to check them out as well. It is not typical for those that are in marketing and publicity to attend these fairs. So for a bit of context, what usually happens is deals to publish and sell the rights for different books. Therefore, the teams that are most often there are editorial, who are the sort of project managers, and sales and rights and foreign editions and co-eds, those sort of people that deal with the rights within other territories. So they'll be having meetings with foreign publishers to say, hey, you're going to want to publish this book, or hey, you might want to jump on our print run and you can sell it in your language, or whatever it might be, depending on the book. So although it's not typical for my department to go, I really wanted the experience, and I was meant to go in 2020 as well, but obviously COVID happened and so I missed out. So I ended up working on reception, which was actually really fun and kind of gave me an all-rounder experience because I got to meet so many people. Obviously the front desk was the place that people come to first of all, and so I got to speak to some people, know their names, direct them to the tables. The Bonnier stand looked great. We had an external company come and dress it all and make it all look how it did. I asked our team, and apparently we own all of the things, like we have a kitchen area, we own all of the materials, but we pay for another company to set it all up and dress it and connect it with all the water and the electrics, I don't really know. Obviously we're a publisher, so it would be silly not to show some of our books. So we had the stands that showed both our adult publishing and our children's publishing, which were kind of in two separate areas. There was the main front desk, the kitchen behind it, and then the tables for meetings either side. I was quite shocked at how big the stand was. I kind of knew that all that happens is meetings every half an hour, but I didn't quite understand that we'd have literally about 15 tables with 4 chairs around each. And there were literally meetings the whole time. We had this huge schedule from the start of the day to the end of the day, and every half an hour a key person within Bonnier was having a meeting with a new person. I do not envy those people that were quite literally in meetings from 9 AM till 6 PM. My job was pretty easy, to be honest. I basically just had to stand on the reception, answer any questions that people might have had. It was really shocking and kind of sad to see that so many potential and aspiring authors were coming up and offering their manuscript to us or saying I want to get published, not understanding the process of the publishing industry and how that works. Typically you have to be represented by an agent, so we as publishers wouldn't accept unsolicited manuscripts. I think there needs to be a bit of education there, and especially from London Book Fair's point of view as well, selling them the ticket knowing what they're going to get, because they are 100% would have been turned down from almost every publisher. The rest of the people that were coming to the stand were people that had booked a meeting in advance with an editor or a foreign rights manager or whatever it may be. I would then direct them to the person, ask if they want any drinks, blah blah blah. They'd have their meeting for half an hour. So it kind of came in waves, to be honest. Like every o'clock or half past there was a rush of new people trying to get their meeting in, but then within those half an hour slots it kind of got quite quiet, which allowed me to talk to some people on reception. It allowed me to have a little wander, take some pictures, that sort of thing. Absolute kudos to Rachel, who works at Igloo Books UK, who basically did the whole organisation of everything. She literally thought of everything, and I kept saying to people that she's thought of things that you wouldn't even think of. She organised literally everything that you can think of that happened on our stand at Bonnier. And I know she was working tirelessly every day as well, and it's a 3-day sort of event, so I hope it went well from her point of view. What was also interesting was agents came to our stand to have some meetings with editorial teams to decide or talk about a potential new book with a potential new author or illustrator. And it was quite nice because obviously I work with agents quite a lot when I have to go through them to talk to authors or illustrators, and so it was quite nice to see some people in person that I've actually only spoken to over email. Another thing that was massively appreciated was our kitchen area. So behind the reception desk at the back of our stand we had this sort of cubby hole that had lockers and a fully equipped kitchen. So it had a sink and storage and cutlery and food and drinks and everything you can think of, which was really handy, and it allowed you to take 2 minutes out. I've got a hearing problem, and wearing my hearing aid in an environment like that where there are literally thousands of people, it can get really overwhelming. So taking a step back and just standing in that kitchen was really helpful. But also at lunchtime it meant that all the staff could help themselves to sandwiches and snacks and drinks and that sort of thing. So as well as working at Bonnier Books UK and working on that stand, I wanted to see what the general LBF looked like, LBF standing for London Book Fair. I had a bit of a nose around the whole venue. It was at the Olympia Stadium, which is where YALC was last year, which is the Young Adult Literature Convention, which I've got a whole other video on. So it's a huge venue and it was both downstairs and upstairs, so I had a wander around to each of the stands. It was really clear who the big publishers are, who had a lot more budget and a lot more money to splash out on their stands. But it was also really nice to see some of the smaller companies who I hadn't have heard of before. One thing that was really impressive and that has been blowing up all over Twitter is the Lessons in Chemistry stand. The publisher of Lessons in Chemistry basically hired out a whole separate area dedicated to this book called Lessons in Chemistry, which I haven't got it here. I think it's upstairs ready for me to read. But it is this huge book that's just taken off and it has just become like a bestseller or whatever. And the marketing campaign has not stopped since it's been published. So this was really cool to see. I don't know if it was shocking or to be expected, but the difference between adults and the children's publishers. So adults tended to be downstairs where there was more footfall, which understandably, as there's more market for that. And then upstairs typically was where the children's publishers are, such as Usborne. I loved walking around this because this is where I could see some of my competitors and see what I'm competing with when I work on my books at Bonnier Books UK in the Templar Books imprint. But it was also quite nice to just see how different the stands are and how much more fun and bright and colourful they are. It was slightly sad though to see that it was a much smaller area. Also on the top floor was where some of the agents were to meet with potential clients, publishers, whatever. So London Book Fair isn't all about meetings. There are other things going on as well, such as talks and panels. I really wish that I had time and the opportunity to go and listen to some of them. I think it would have been really interesting, but you know, it's not the first talk I would have listened to. I have listened to a lot of those sorts of things before, working in the industry, but it would have been nice to have seen potential ones. There was a few that I'd sort of highlighted and I wanted to see, but the way it worked and the timings and stuff, I just didn't get around to doing that. But I heard they were all really good, and some people on Twitter and social media kind of summarised what the talks were about. If you are wondering what else is at London Book Fair, yes, you have the stands, so you can walk around, you can talk to people, but you also have various sort of talks, panels, Q&As going on as well. Part of, but working separately to Bonnier Books UK, is the Igloo Books division. While they are a part of Bonnier Books UK, we work quite separately and they have a different office branch. What this meant was they had a different stand to us at Bonnier Books UK as well, and it just so happened that they were on the upstairs floor as they're a children's publisher, while we were on the mainstream downstairs floor. I've never actually met any of the Igloo stuff, which I guess is kind of expected because we don't really work closely, we don't work together, we don't have an office near each other, but I went and had a little look at their stand. In terms of publishing, a lot of their books are much more commercial facing, a lot more branded, and a lot more the kind of books that you see in maybe like the Works, or a lot of like colouring. One of the books on there was literally a colouring book of like dog's buns. And a fabulous colleague of mine at the Igloo branch was Chris.
Hi, how are you doing? This is Torrence here from Igloo Books and Autumn Publishing. I am the Senior International Sales Manager looking after Europe and Asia. We're here at London Book Fair. This is day one, Tuesday. Very productive, very busy. Good catching up with all of my clients, old and new. Lots and lots of meetings, and we are currently shooting this video in front of our amazing Disney Pophead series. Here you can see Spider-Man and Simba from The Lion King. We predict these books are going to sell in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
London Book Fair also hosts the Trailblazer Awards. I am thrilled to have spoken to Chelsea Graham, who is a wonderful friend and also a colleague at Bonnier Books UK, who recently moved over from Bloomsbury Publishing. She works in the audio division. But aside from her 9 to 5, she has conjured up this amazing magazine legacy that's the Publishing Post. I subscribed to this quite a little while ago now when it was first set up. Every week or every fortnight that it's published, it never fails to amaze me, the content that goes into it. She has got a team behind her of volunteers, of publishing hopefuls. The content and the work and the quality of it that they put out is literally amazing. I know that Chelsea works so hard to get this going out every month, liaising with all of the teams and keeping up to date with all the trends in the industry as well. So deserving of this award was Chelsea Graham.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Graham. I just won a Trailblazer award at London Book Fair. So at the moment I'm an editor at YALC UK, and I also do the Publishing Post where I'm a founder. That's why I got the award. And we also spoke on a panel for Trailblazers where we gave publishing hopefulls advice and answered their questions and about why we got the award and also what they could maybe do to become a Trailblazer next year.
I do kind of wish I spoke to more people when I was at LBF. To be honest, obviously I was working on reception as well, so I didn't really have the time to go out and film apart from the snippets that you've seen in this video. I think next time I go, I definitely need to interview some more people, be that at Bonnier or other people around as well. LBF did actually have their own sort of content team that were doing photos and videos and interviews as well, so I'll link to some of them below. Overall, it was a really great experience. I'm so glad I went. It is kind of how I expected it to be. It's a similar sort of setup to YALC, which is the Young Adult Literature Convention. YALC is much more about selling the books to the direct customers, whereas LBF London Book Fair is much more of a trade event. Needless to say, I was knackered by the end of the day. You are on your feet all day and you're constantly talking to people in an extremely loud and noisy environment. It's a lot of networking and people pleasing, which ultimately takes a toll on your mind. I only did the one day, but next year, fingers crossed, I can go for a little bit longer. I'd love to know if you were there. There were literally thousands of people there, so it was completely impossible to see everybody there. But if you were there, let me know in the comment section down below. How did you find this year's? Did it differ to previous years? I have nothing to compare it to because it was my first ever time. But yeah, that is what LBF was like 2023.